Hello. Recently we put out a video that showed highlights of the first few days of learning in our hybrid model to let the community, parents know what it looks like in the classrooms and in the schools under our hybrid model. Now we'd like to bring you some insights from teachers who are teaching in the hybrid model. You know, we're in a brave new world. It's a lot of pressure on parents, on students, and it's a huge amount of pressure on our teachers because we're asking our hybrid teachers to teach both in person, what we call on stage, with the students live, and then also provide online learning for their students that are home on their off days under the hybrid model, for the off-stage learning. It's a lot to carry. Our teachers are doing a wonderful job, and we want to share with you some of the highlights and some of the challenges that the teachers are facing.
I was nervous, to be honest. I was a little bit nervous since I saw different cases on the news that many schools reopened and they had cases like within 2 or 1 week after opening the schools. But when I came back to Brockwell, I actually felt safe, to be honest. Like I saw the precautions that were being taken. Only 50% or less of the students were in at least my classroom, and I know that's how it is for all of the classes. The custodians in Brockwell, and I know that in Bethlehem are doing a great job in those schools. The biggest challenge so far, I think that they are still getting adapted to everything being on Schoology. My biggest challenge is making sure that my students know what is expected of them with the assignments. I'm not there physically to help them out, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges. Pros that I've seen in my class is that I have more students being engaged than I did last year. I have smaller classes, so that really helps out a lot. I can help out more students if they need my help, and I can have that like more one-on-one help if students need it. With everything that's going on right now, I think we're all very stressed, and I get that. Like we have different responsibilities, but I think if we work together, we'll get through this.
So I was very nervous upon our first week of school, but once I saw the students in the classroom, I already started to feel a sense of a little bit of normalcy, even though the classroom looks a little bit different. Students are spaced out more, we're wearing masks, but it felt just so good to be in the presence of students again and have some one-on-one interactions with kids, and that felt really good. Something that's helped me to keep in mind is that you've got to find a system that works for you. So it's important to maintain some form of consistency. For me, it's organizing my Schoology pages in the same way so that there's some sense of predictability for the kids as they sign on every day. But the way I conduct my classroom might look a little bit different from someone else. I have been planning my lessons in sort of 2-day chunks because I have to keep in mind that some kids are with me first and others are learning online first. And so I need to plan my instruction so that regardless of whether they're home first or with me, they don't need one lesson to occur before the other. So that's been helpful for me. But other teachers I know are teaching the same thing for all groups of students, and just some of them are doing it in school and others are doing it at home. And those are both valid. You have to be confident in what you are doing. So that's been helpful. There were certainly kinks in their first couple of days, but getting feedback from the students has been helpful and practicing, and now we're all getting used to it and it's working. Even though these times are very unique and teaching is looking a lot different than how it normally would, I have to remind myself every day that I am doing my best for my students, and though my best is looking a little bit different this semester, ultimately I've got learning targets for my students and I'm working to help them meet those targets.
Well, I think coming back at the beginning of the year, it was a mixed bag. You're excited. We get to see the kids again, and it was I think the end of last year, we were okay. We could get through it, but the idea of facing a whole nother school year, strictly online, would have been, pretty overwhelming. So to have the fact that we're coming back, it was exciting, knowing that we'd see the kids. Learning how to juggle that, that was a concern, and it still is in many ways. It's not the easiest thing where you're kind of constantly keeping, those who are in front of you in mind as well as those who are away, because you don't have, the access then, or they don't have the access to you then during the day to be able to help them out. So it's that constant juggling thing that can be a little tricky. I think the challenges, are having like a split mindset, really focusing on what's in front of you, being in the classroom. I think that's an exciting part. But then being aware of the level of organization that's needed this year is probably greater than it ever has been. So I live by to-do lists, on sticky notes, on any form I can find, and so that's the challenge, just keeping it all straight. We're all in this together. Like, no one planned on a pandemic, to really, to learn what does quarantine look like, and what does hybrid models look like. And so we're in this together, figuring this thing out. And so I think we have to give each other a break, and we have to give ourselves a break. And remembering that, as we communicate with parents, that we're in that with box. Restoratively, we always talk about doing the with. And I think it's really important, to hear the parent's voice. What are they frustrated with? What are they reacting to? And even if they're, your colleagues and stuff might have those moments where they're not reacting the best way, to just step back and say, all right, what are they reacting to? What can we learn from this, and how can we work together on this to really bring our best to one another?
Hey, we're all in this together. The teachers are working hard, the parents are working hard, the kids are doing a great job, but we know this is tough. And so I encourage parents and students, be in touch with your teachers. If things start to build up, or you get a little behind, you have questions, talk to the teachers. Guidance counselors are always available, principals are as well, but your teachers can be flexible. We need to be flexible, we need to support each other, and together we'll all get through this pandemic.